Hi guys, my name is Kirsty and welcome back to Upside Down Books and to another gigantic book haul.
Non più tra I farfalloni amoroso, notte giorno di
So as we all know, I'm on a book buying ban, so of course I have a huge amount of books to show you today and so many excuses as to why they are okay to have. First and foremost, I will say that I did my sequels haul at the end of the year, and so a lot of these books are those, though I am actually still waiting for some. The shipping has just been so slow, it has been slowly killing me. But yes, the majority of these books are coming from all the sequels that I ordered from books that I read last year, and I do this every year, and also from a trade-in that I did because I've got rid of about 30 books or so, which you may have seen if you watched my wrap-up for January. Basically, I had a bunch of books that I wasn't interested in, and so I went to this store where I can get store credit for trading in books to buy some more. So I haven't completely got rid of the 30, but I've reduced them by half, let's say down to 15 or something like that. I thought I would start today by going through all the packages. I've been so good, and for like up to a month I have been waiting to open up some of these, so I'm really excited to do that for you today, and I think most of the ones in these packages will be the sequels. So let's get into opening that, or we will be here forever. Package number 1. Come prepared with scissors so that we're not standing here forever waiting for me to try and pull things apart. It's a paperback. It's really tight. Oh, so this is the sequel to the Potion Diaries. I am like so surprised that this has happened, but I've decided I really wanted to continue with it, and it also matches perfectly with book 1. So the Potion Diaries I read last year. It was on one of my TBRs, and it was something I was not excited to read because I thought I had just outgrown it and it wasn't for me anymore, and I ended up loving this stupid thing. I thought it was absolutely hilarious, and so much so that I'm really curious to see how it goes. I'm kind of expecting things will go downhill for the rest of the series, but I'm so intrigued and I keep thinking about this book, so I really want to continue it. So that's why I decided to go ahead and purchase a copy of the sequel, and I just love the cover design, so at the very least it will be beautiful on my shelf. So, you know, that's something of a win in and of itself. If you don't know what this series is about, it's all fantasy, it's YA, and it's about a princess who poisons herself with a love potion and she falls in love with herself, and it's a quest set out to a bunch of, what should we call them? Apothecarists? What are those people called that work in apothecaries? Those people to try and find a cure without knowing exactly what the potion was that she used in the first place. It's so funny. Parcel number 2. I love that all of the parcels from Dimmicks came wrapped differently and also in different parcels. This one's very tight. It feels dusty in here. Oh, that came up much more easily. Oh, look, it is Realm of Ash by Tasha Suri. I have been meaning to pick up this sequel for a long time. This is not something I read last year, but a book, the first book I read several years ago, and I never got around to buying the sequel, so a little bit of this haul and the sequels is actually a little bit of a backlog. But yes, really excited to continue this. I've heard a few good things, but not very many people talking about this. Empire of Sand, I want to say. Yes, Empire of Sand is the first book, and it's a lot of djinn and sort of Arabian fantasy, and I thought it was really interesting, and a lot of like, I don't want to I can't remember what spoilers and what's not, so I won't talk about it too much, but this is the sequel, and I think it's the main character's younger sister's perspective in this one. Not the same story, different story, but from a different character, so I'm just very intrigued to see where this is going. I love the cover for this. I don't know if you can see that. I just think the detail on the spearhead here is just stunning. So excited to have that one. Let me move on to some chunkier ones, which I believe simply contain more than one book. Safest way to open this, do we think? Oh my god, unboxing videos should be not allowed. Ugh. Got it. Oh, I wasn't expecting it to open up there. There's 2 books. Which ones are they? Oh, hardback. Oh, this is actually on my TBR for February. So it's the sequel to the Blazeroth games, and I love that it totally stylistically matches. Also, very exciting, book 1, which is in my other room, was pink when it's naked, and this one is yellow. Look at that. Look at that. It's like a lolly. It's like a sweet. That's beautiful. And with the, oh, I love the design of these books. It brings me such great joy. This was a very interesting novel, the first one. I did have a few moments debating whether I would continue reading it or not because I wasn't blown away by the first one, but I really loved the world and the concept, and I was really taken by the spectacular diversity within this world. It is all about people competing in this game called the Blazeroth games where they're on dragons. It's really interesting, and I just really am hoping that book 1 was sort of like the first baby steps we were taking to setting up this story, and book 2 is just going to blow it out of the park and get even better. So I'll be reading this one really soon, so you should know my thoughts by the time my next wrap up goes up, with any luck, and I'll be able to report back on that one. Okay, the other book that is in here is huge. Whoa, that's a lot bigger than I was expecting. It's Ice Like Fire by Sarah Rush. I actually don't know how you pronounce that. So this one, I read the first one on audiobook, and I didn't like love the audiobook narration, so I decided I wanted to continue it in physical format. I honestly was kind of tempted to get book 1 and reread book 1 in physical format, just because I felt like I really struggled to connect with the book, but I just love the concept of this world being split up with the seasons and the rhythms. There's just so much going on with the political setup of this world. It was a lot to follow on audiobook format. But in any case, that's why I've picked up book 2 in this physical format. I'm really excited to see where the story is going to go, because we were left in a really interesting place. So my last one's even bigger, so goodness knows how many books are in here. I'm sure everyone does this more elegantly than I do. Dun, dun, dun. That's 4 books in there. Oh, how exciting. Let's pull out the first one. Okay, so this one, I forgot that I'd ordered this. It's Redemptor. It's the sequel. Oh my goodness. It's the sequel to Raybearer. That's honestly quite funny that I managed to forget. Look at that shine. What a beautiful book. That's gorgeous. I love all the animals on here. I just love it. Like, this book is boldly African inspired, and it is so proud of it. I just love it. And like, Redemptor is amazing. Yeah, if you haven't read this series yet, then you need to. It is an African inspired fantasy, and it's just got such strong found family themes, so much magic and intrigue. Oh, it's so cool. I can't do it justice, I don't think, by talking about it, but I cannot wait to read this sequel. Alright, next book. I think we'll go for the other one on the top. Oh, okay, Invasion of the Teeling. This is another, like, question mark, but I have decided to go ahead and read, because this is the sequel to The Queen of the Teeling, which I read in, oh, thankfully this also matches. Let's just start with that. I had several moments of, like, despair, imagining that I wouldn't get a matching one, because I feel like there's quite a few different versions of this out there. But anyway, I didn't love the first book, but everyone else has said this series is just amazing and gets better. So I'm giving it the benefit of the doubt, and I'm going to persevere through the second book and see if I can enjoy it more, perhaps read it when I'm in a different mood. I don't know, I want to like this series, so I've decided to continue it. It's a fantasy world that I don't know, I've got a lot. Meet the next Katniss Everdeen. That's a big statement. Yeah, look, I don't know, maybe the series just isn't for me, but nonetheless I'm going to give it a go, and I'm not even going to try and describe or explain it, because I feel like I'll spoil it, because it's just, I feel like it's a bit fuzzy in what it's trying to be. Next book. I can't remember what any of them are. That's right, we're finally going to continue this series. So I read Carry On when it came out, and then belatedly have realised that if I ever want to continue the series, I do have to actually buy the sequel. So obviously I am doing so with this book. If you don't know what Carry On is, then I don't know where you've been, but it's a contemporary LGBT plus fiction, and it's one that I love. I don't read a lot of contemporary novels, but I do make exceptions for Rainbow Rowell, especially for the Carry On duo. Cannot wait to continue this, and that will mean I won't have to avoid so many spoilers, especially because book 3's come out and everyone's talking about it. Final book for this box. Oh, hang on, I think there's some bookmarks in here. Whoa. I'm not sure I needed 4 of the same, but 4 bookmarks it is. Oh, that's right, yeah, and this one as well, The Theft of Sunlight by Interstar Kanani. I have been wanting to read this since this got released, because I read Thorn as a review copy on NetGalley back when it came out, and it was not popular then at all until it got picked up by one of the book boxes, the book subscription boxes, and then she wrote this sequel, and I'm so excited to read more of her writing. She's such a fabulous writer, and the way that she does retellings is just so enjoyable, so I can't wait for this to be on the TBR and to get around to reading this. Okay, so that moves on to the rest of the books, of which there are many. First one I wanted to show you with something else, but that something else hasn't arrived yet. And that is The Silence of Girls by Pat Barker. So this is book 1 in a duology. I spent way too much money trying to get a copy of this hardback book because this is now out of print and you can't get it, so I had to find it secondhand. But what I did is I have ordered book 2 and I got a hardback copy of it in a deal and then realised that it was part of a series. But I'm still waiting for that to arrive, so this is going to wait to be shown off with all its glory because it looks so beautiful with the sequel because they're matchy. But this is basically feminist mythology retelling and I just think it's going to be incredible, so I'm so excited to read this one. So the next one is actually my book club pick of the month for February, and that is Luminous by Mara Rutherford. I really like Mara Rutherford and I also have been really wanting to read Luminous, so we'll be reading this one in February. So I will hopefully be getting a report back to you guys with my wrap up sooner rather than later because this is on the immediate radar. Very excited to read this one. I think this is like almost sci-fi. I feel like it's like us. I want to call it like an astrological fantasy. Can that be a new genre? Because I think that should be. So I think her magic might be connected with the moon. In any case, I just love the cover and I'm so excited to read it. So the next one is actually a review copy and it is The Nurse's War by Victoria Perman. Very different vibe and genre here. This is coming out in April and was sent to me by Harlequin, so thank you very much to them for sending me a copy of this one. I think this looks fairly self-explanatory, that it is a World War I historical fiction following a nurse perspective. Really excited to read this. I don't know why, but I've known that this book is coming out and I was so thrilled that it came in the mail the other day for me to read. I just think it's going to be a good time and I'm really into my historical fiction this year, more so than I've ever been. The next one is one I've already read and that is The Amulet of Wishes by Rita A. Rubin. I actually read this for a blog tour with MTMC Book Tours. Can never remember that acronym. This was a 3 out of 5 star read for me. It is an independently published book. There were a few issues with it in terms of just, there were so many typos, but on the whole I just wasn't super excited about this book. It was interesting but it didn't blow me away. It's about a mission to retrieve 3 pieces of an amulet and all the characters are dragon shifters, so I was really like excited by the premise, but it just didn't quite deliver for me in the end. The next book is a book that I traded for, so anything that I say I traded for is when I went and got rid of a bunch of books, and that's why I have acquired them, and that is Crown of Feathers by Nikki Paul-Pretu. I'm sorry if I said that wrong. This one has just like been on low-key on my radar for a while, and out of what the bookstore, the secondhand bookstore had in stock, I saw this here and I thought that this was a great time to go and pick it up. This is all in this world where there's 2 sisters and one of them must kill the other in order to ascend to the throne, and I think we all just love that sort of stabby fantasy. There's something really fun about it. The next one was also a trade-in and that was Still Life by Sarah Winman. This was the Dymocks Book of the Year for 2021 and I think this will be a slower paced novel, but I am very intrigued to see what it's like because it has been reviewed and rated so highly. This is set in 1944 in Italy and we've got a British soldier and a female character who might be a spy. So the female character has come to salvage paintings in Italy from the ruins, and I think there's just going to be this whole sort of relationship between them, so it kind of sounds a bit like some historical fiction I've read, and it also sounds a little bit like The Monuments Men, and I'm really into that kind of setting at the moment, so I really hope I love this one. I have my expectations so high, so they're big boots to fill, let's put it that way. The next one I've already read as well, and that is Only a Monster by Vanessa Len. This was just phenomenal. This is already out, so you can go and get yourself a copy of this to read as well. It is all about this fantasy paranormal world where the main character is a monster. She still looks human, but she has particular abilities that categorize her as a monster, and it's sort of a Romeo-Juliet story between the monster and the monster hunter and some time travel. It is so good, and 5 out of 5 stars. I read this in a day. I couldn't put it down. So the next 2 books I was so excited to get in my possession because it is The Ruin of Kings and The Name of All Things, which is books 1 and 2 in the Chorus of Dragon series, of which we are up to book 4 and book 5 is coming out this year. I've read books 1, 2 and 3 and I am going to read book 4 very soon, but I've never owned physical copies of the first 2 and I've been looking everywhere to get this tall edition to match on my shelves. But because I think this is possibly out of print and there's not very many of these left, it's been so hard to find them. But I found this at the secondhand bookstore when I traded in, and I found this at a bookstore and I picked them up, and I now have a complete series, a complete set that is matching, and I'm so excited about that because it looks so beautiful on my shelf and I'm very happy. I have been looking for these for like 3 years to get this set complete, so this was a huge win for 2022 already. The next one is one I'm really intrigued about, and that is Catch Us the Foxes by Nicola West. I've heard like lots of mixed reviews online about this one, but I personally am very, very intrigued about what it is. It's going to be a bit of a thriller. It's about a character who wants to escape a small town, but then she comes across the corpse of her best friend. Yada yada yada. Won't go into it too much in case no one wants to hear about the gory details, but I just think it's going to be a really intriguing and possibly quite thrilling read, so I hope it doesn't keep me up too late at night. The next one is one I'm really excited to be jumping on the bandwagon with, and that is The Other Side of the Sky by Amy Kaufman and Megan Spooner. This is a powerhouse of a writing duo who I've not had much luck with before, so I'm hoping that this is going to turn the tables. Their previous book, Unearthed, I'm sure they've written other things since, but I'm not really on top of it. I just didn't really love it. It was a bit to me. But everyone's raving about this one, but these are also your classic YA authors that everyone raves about just because it's them. So I am hoping that it's not all just hot air and that there is actually some good founding, that this is really good, but we will see, I suppose, once I get into it. But yeah, would really like to have a win with these guys because I feel like I should like them because just everyone else does, but I guess we'll see when I get to it. The next one's another trade-in and one I'm so excited about, and that is The Prince of the Skies by Antonio Iturbe. This guy wrote The Librarian of Auschwitz, which was incredible sort of YA historical fiction about a girl who ran a library within Auschwitz, which sounds totally implausible but was a real thing. And he actually spoke to the lady whose story he based it off and did all this kind of research, and I just fell in love with his writing, so that when I knew last year he was coming out with this new book, I got so excited and really wanted to add it to my TBR. So when I went in to trade in some books and I saw that they had a copy of it, of course I had to pick it up. This one is set in World War II in Paris, and it is following pilots. The next one, the next two that I got is actually because there was a deal and I have a total lack of self-control, and the first one is Vespertine by Margaret Rogerson. I have heard so many good things about this. I have kept walking past this in bookstores and thinking, I think I need to just get a copy and read and see what this is all about. I've heard really great things about her writing, and particularly like her feminist slant to her writing, so I'm very excited to pick it up, and I'm hoping that I love it as much and haven't hyped myself up too much for it. This is all about a character whose job it is to sort of claim the souls of the dead so that they can pass on, so that sort of underworld vibe. So the other book that I got when I had a lack of self-control was the fourth book in the Order of Darkness by Philippa Gregory, which is Dark Tracks. Philippa Gregory is largely known for her historical fiction writing, but this is historical fantasy, if you will. And it follows the most unusual quartet of characters, but I just love it. It's like one of my favourite historical fantasy series out there that I've read. There's just something very sweet and beautiful about this. The next book was another trade-in, and it was also completing a series. That is Queen by Amy Carter. This is the third, and as far as I know, final book in this series. The first book is Pawn, P-A-W-N. I always have to say that when I discuss it in person. Who names their book Pawn? They should have named it Rook or something. Anyway, this is a really interesting series that I think could give Victoria Aveyard a run for her money, and I think it is totally underrated. It is the same sort of structure as Red Queen, but I think better. It's less cringy from what I can remember anyway, where people have the class rankings and are restricted in what they can do depending on whether they're a 1 or a 4, etc. And I just loved book 1, so I now have books 2 and 3. 2 I've had for a while, and I can just binge read it. I've just never seen this in store, so I got really excited to see the cover, because there's another alternate cover you can get, so I was really excited to see a matching cover for this one. The next one is one I've had my eye on for a while, and again another trade-in, but I've always been hesitant to pick it up because it's a glossy cover and I don't like that, but that's All the Stars and Teeth. You can see it's super shiny. I don't know why, I just don't love that, but anyway, I have heard a reasonable number of good things about this. Can't even see it, it's so shiny. So yeah, I am hoping I like this. I don't know if this is going to be pirates or if it's just going to be, I don't really know actually. Definitely got magic in it, and we've got an heir to the throne. Ooh, soul magic, demonstration gone wrong. Oh, and a pirate. Okay, I'm more interested because there's pirates now. I do like my pirates, but yeah, we'll see. I'm going to reserve judgment on this one. I purely added this one to the TBR because I could, because I was trading it in, and because I've heard lots of things about it and I'm curious. The next one is another review copy, and it is actually a crime, and that is Take Your Breath Away by Linwood Barclay, and I Would actually like to read this one. I'm always a little bit hesitant for reading like adult crime. I don't know, like stuff that looks like real traditional crime, but I'm kind of intrigued by this one and I want to give it a go. This came out at the beginning of February, so it's already out and was sent to me by Harlequin, so thank you so much for sending me a copy. And it's all about a husband whose wife goes missing and they can't find the body and he's all under suspicion, and eventually life moves on, he remarries, etc. And then like his wife turns back up again, or someone who looks very like her. So I think that's a really cool plot. The next one I have to show you is one that I've been wanting to pick up for a really long time, but have never had it on a high priority list, so to speak, and that's Transcription by Kate Atkinson. I've not read anything by Kate Atkinson before, but she's an award-winning author, as far as I can remember, and I think this one was put up for one of the awards. Might have been the Miles Franklin, might have been the Booker, I can't remember, but I have just been really intrigued and wanting to give this a spin. I think it is literary fiction, so it might be a bit dry, I'm not really sure, but I really want to dig into this one and see if it's something I like. So it's been a very exploratory book haul this time. So this one's set in 1940 and the main character, a female, is a spy, and she is part of a department of MI5. Ooh, so she's monitoring the comings and goings of British fascist sympathisers. Said that weird. Sympathisers. Ooh, and then like after the war ends, the job doesn't quite leave her alone. It just sounds interesting, so I hope that this one's a real good brain teaser. The next one is one I am very keen to read, and it's the February book of the month for Harlequin, and again was a review copy sent to me by them, and that is Dressed by Iris. This is written by Marianne O'Connor. I've been wanting to read Marianne O'Connor for quite a while because I have one of her other books. This is set in the 1930s in Australia during the Depression. It's a huge chunky book and I can't wait to dig into it, so this is going to be one of the things I read next. So again, this should be a book that will be read by the time you get my February wrap-up, with any luck. A couple more review copies to share with you. One that's coming out in March is Fiona Lowe's new book, which is A Family of Strangers. This is obviously not the complete cover, but I really enjoyed Home Fires by Fiona Lowe, Australian author, Australian fiction, and I'm expecting sort of tense, small community, family, drama vibes from this because I'm pretty sure that's a lot of what she writes. Really keen to get into this one, and this is coming out in March. And the other one also sent to me by Harlequin is The Way From Here by Jane Cockram, and this is coming out in March as well. Love the cover for this one, and I think this is a pretty big and anticipated release, so I hope that it's really good. And it's all about letters that are beyond the grave that leads a bereaved sister on a journey from Australia to France, and I love the concept of that, so I'm hoping this will be a sad but uplifting story. Before I forget, let's do my audiobooks because I'm sure I have things to talk about there. I don't think I have any ebooks, I think just audiobooks. So since we last spoke, I've acquired a copy of The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. I don't think I need to introduce this one. I think most people here are going to be familiar with this, or at least the author's name. Very big book about someone who people don't remember. I'm so excited to read this one, and it was the Audible free pick of the month, so of course I was going to grab it. I also got a copy of Timekeeper by Tara Sim, which was in the Audible Plus program, so a free book again. It's just something I've loosely had my eye on for a while. I can't remember what it's about, but I think we can all agree that the cover looks intriguing, so I'll have to get back to you on that one. The next one was a book that I got with my subscription, and that is Stolen Focus by Jonathan Hari. This one has been promoted heaps and heaps, and I just got really intrigued. It's about our reduced attention span, growing up in a world of technology as we do, so I just thought it could be a really interesting non-fiction book to read. And I think that's everything since we last spoke on the audiobook front. So the last 4 books I want to talk about are books I've actually acquired from work. If you don't know, I'm a book editor and I work with Fremantle Press, and so I have acquired some reading of our backlist titles that I want to get through, so I wanted to show you what those books are. As an FYI, I won't be reviewing or rating any books for work just because conflict of interest, but I thought I would at least show you what I will be reading, and you can check these books out more if you are interested. So the first one is My Place by Sally Morgan, which is Indigenous literature. This is a really big and best-selling novel that a lot of people have a lot of good things to say about, so I really wanted to get in and see what all the fuss is about with this one. The next one is Hetty by Hetty E. Verlome. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. And this one is about a survivor of the Holocaust, so someone who actually lived in Western Australia after the war, and it's basically her memoirs. I just thought that sounded really interesting, and it's certainly up my alley, so I'm really curious to see what her story will be. So the next one is True Country by Kim Scott, who is quite a significant West Australian Indigenous writer, and I've heard lots of things about True Country, and so again, this is something I'm really curious to read. I'm hoping to do a lot of Indigenous reading in June or July, whenever NAIDOC week is, so some of these books might go towards that. And the last one is more Indigenous writing, and that's Benang, also by Kim Scott, and again, I think this was a Miles Franklin award winner. So again, I'm really excited to dive into this one and to also just catch up on some reading of some backlists for titles for work. So there we have it. There we have it. I have been waiting so many weeks to open up and go through all these books, and I'm so excited about all of them. Let me turn you around so we can like appreciate the stack here. I feel like this is a really, really solid effort considering I've just done my Christmas haul. I kind of can't believe that I've managed to do this, but I also can totally believe that I've managed to do it. At least we know that some of them are sequels, some of them are trade-ins, and that this is actually somehow reducing my TBR. I think I went from somewhere close to 390 books back down to much closer to 370, so I'm not doing a terrible job. It just really looks awful, but I'm really excited to read lots of these, and I feel like there's a lot of second chance authors in here that I am giving sequels a go to see if they will capture my attention. But anyway, let me know in the comments down below if you've read any of these, if you're planning to, or if you have any thoughts about any of these. I would love to hear your thoughts, but other than that, I will see you in my next video. Goodbye.
Alla gloria militar.